Close your eyes. Let the world around you fade, the noise, the light, the weight of today. Let it all dissolve. Tonight, I want to take you somewhere remarkable, to a small island on the edge of the known world. England, a kingdom that has known two women above all others. Two queens, both named Elizabeth, both crowned in the same ancient abbey, both facing a world that doubted them, 5 centuries apart, yet somehow mirror images of each other. Tonight, we drift between their worlds, from the candlelit corridors of Tudor palaces to the quiet rooms of Windsor Castle, from a world of swords and silk to a world of cameras and crowns, to Elizabeth's one throne and the extraordinary weight of a name. That history chose twice. Breathe in slowly. Let your body grow heavier, your shoulders releasing, your breath finding its own quiet rhythm. You're safe here in the warm darkness, listening, drifting, back through centuries of English reign and kingdom. The first Elizabeth was born on the 7th of September, 1533, in Greenwich Palace beside the Thames. Her mother was Anne Boleyn, a woman who had changed the entire religion of England simply by existing. Her father was Henry VIII, a man who had wanted a son so desperately that when Elizabeth arrived, he could barely look at her. She was not what he had asked for. She was not what anyone had asked for. And yet, from the very beginning, there was something about Elizabeth Tudor. Even as a small child, visitors to the palace remarked on it. A stillness, a watchfulness, eyes that seemed to be calculating something, even when the rest of her face was perfectly composed. She learned very early that the world was dangerous. Her mother was executed when Elizabeth was 2 years old, too young to understand, old enough to feel the absence, old enough to learn that love and power were the two most treacherous things in the world. She grew up in the shifting tides of her father's court, sometimes recognized as a princess, sometimes stripped of her title entirely, dependent on the mood of a man who changed wives, the way other men change horses. She survived by being careful, by reading rooms, by saying exactly the right thing, and absolutely nothing more. Let your breath slow now. Feel the quiet settling around you, like the hush of a palace at midnight, when the candles have burned low and even kings must sleep. Elizabeth was educated brilliantly. She spoke 6 languages by the time she was a young woman: Latin, Greek, French, Italian, Spanish, and the language she understood best of all, silence. She knew when to speak and when to wait. She knew that patience was not weakness, that the person who could wait the longest often won everything. When her father died, England passed through 2 more monarchs. Her brother Edward, who was young and fragile and gone too soon. Her sister Mary, who burned Protestants in the streets of London and earned a name that history has never forgiven: Bloody Mary. Elizabeth watched all of this from a careful distance, surviving, waiting. When Mary's men came for her, convinced she was plotting against the crown, Elizabeth was taken to the Tower of London, the same tower where her mother had been executed. She walked through the same gate, placed her feet on the same stones, and refused to show fear. She sat in her cell and wrote nothing, said nothing, admitted nothing, and waited. Breathe deeply now. Let the darkness behind your eyes become something warm and soft, like firelight on old stone walls, like the glow of candles in a high-ceilinged room. You are drifting now, gently, toward sleep. Mary died in November of 1558. Elizabeth was 25 years old when they came to tell her. She was sitting beneath an oak tree at Hatfield House, reading, when the messengers arrived with the royal ring, proof that the Queen was dead. Elizabeth looked up from her book and said quietly, in Latin, "This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes." Then she rose and became Queen of England. She would reign for 44 years, and she would never marry. This was the most extraordinary thing about Elizabeth I. Every monarch before her had married. Marriage meant alliance, heirs, security. But Elizabeth had watched what marriage did to women. She had watched it destroy her mother. She had watched it reduce brilliant women to instruments of diplomacy, to vessels for producing sons. She refused. Suitors came from across Europe, kings and princes and archdukes. She considered them all. She kept them hoping for years, decades, using the possibility of marriage as a diplomatic tool, while never actually surrendering her independence. When Parliament pressured her to marry, she told them quietly, "I am already bound to a husband, which is the Kingdom of England." Let that settle over you now. The extraordinary clarity of that sentence. A woman in a world that believed women needed men to lead them, choosing herself, choosing her kingdom, choosing the long, difficult, extraordinary road of ruling alone. Her reign was not peaceful. There were plots against her life. There was war with Spain. The Great Spanish Armada sailed against England in 1588. 130 ships, the largest naval force the world had ever seen. Elizabeth rode out to meet her troops at Tilbury, a woman on a white horse, in armor, speaking words that still echo across centuries. "I know I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too." The Armada was defeated, England survived, and Elizabeth I became something beyond a queen. She became a symbol of what was possible, of what a woman could be if the world simply got out of her way. Let your body grow heavier now. Let your thoughts slow and soften. We are moving forward now, through centuries of English history, through wars and revolutions and the slow changing of the world. Forward to another gray English morning, another palace, another Elizabeth. The second Elizabeth was born on the 21st of April, 1926, in a townhouse in Mayfair, London. Her parents were the Duke and Duchess of York. Her father was not expected to become king. There was an older brother, Edward, who would inherit the throne. Young Elizabeth was a princess, yes, but a minor one. She was expected to live a comfortable, quiet royal life, marry well, support the family, stay in the background. History had other plans. In 1936, her uncle Edward did something unprecedented. He gave up the throne for a woman, an American divorcee named Wallis Simpson. He chose love over duty, and in doing so, he handed the crown to Elizabeth's father and made a 10-year-old girl heir to the British throne. Breathe slowly now. Feel the quiet of this late hour, the way the world grows still and soft around the edges. You are safe, you are warm, just listening, just drifting. Elizabeth watched her father become King George VI. She watched him accept a burden he had never wanted, with grace, with duty, with quiet courage. And she learned from him that the crown was not a prize, it was a responsibility, a weight you carried not because you wanted to, but because someone had to, and it had fallen to you. During the Second World War, Elizabeth and her sister Margaret were sent to Windsor Castle for safety, but Elizabeth refused to simply wait out the war in comfort. At 18, she joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service. She learned to drive military vehicles. She learned to repair engines. She got her hands dirty. She wanted her people to know she was not hiding, that she was, in whatever way she could be, one of them. Her father died in February of 1952. Elizabeth was 25 years old, the same age as her namesake when she became queen. Elizabeth II was crowned on the 2nd of June, 1953. For the first time in history, the coronation was televised. 27 million people watched across Britain alone. They watched a young woman in a golden coach, moving slowly through the streets of London. Her face completely still, composed, carrying something invisible but enormous. The weight of 1,000 years of history. The weight of a name that had already meant so much. Let your thoughts drift now, like leaves on still water, like clouds moving slowly across a dark sky. You are almost asleep. The world is very quiet, and somewhere, across centuries, two women sit with their crowns, both named Elizabeth, both alone in ways that most people will never understand. The loneliness of being the last word, of having every decision rest with you, of being the symbol that a whole nation looks to when it needs to believe in something. Elizabeth I never married. Elizabeth II married young and loved her husband deeply. Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Her rock, she called him. her strength and stay. He died in April of 2021 at 99 years old. Elizabeth was 94, and she sat alone at his funeral because the rules of COVID required it. A queen of 70 years, sitting alone in a pew, head bowed, still composed, still carrying the weight. She died on the 8th of September, 2022, in Balmoral Castle, Scotland, surrounded by family. 70 years on the throne, the longest reign in British history. She was 96 years old, and on that same date, the 8th of September, 489 years earlier, in 1533, the first Elizabeth had been born. The same date, as if history had closed a circle, as if something vast and patient and beyond our understanding had decided that these two women belonged together. Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. Let that thought carry you now into the soft darkness of sleep. Two Elizabeths, one name that England called upon twice, when it needed someone extraordinary. Two women who understood something most people spend their lives avoiding. That duty is not the enemy of freedom, that the deepest freedom comes from knowing who you are and what you are willing to give, and giving it completely, without complaint, without asking for recognition, without ever letting them see you waver. Let your breath slow to almost nothing now. Feel the weight of your body sinking gently into warmth, into stillness, into rest. You are lying somewhere safe and quiet, far from palaces and crowns and the weight of history, far from the cold stone of coronation floors, far from the impossible loneliness of being the person everyone needs. Just here, just breathing, just you. England still stands tonight. Its ancient stones still hold the memory of two women who carried more than anyone should ever have to carry, and carried it beautifully. And somewhere in that long, quiet history, both Elizabeths are finally, completely at rest, as you are now. Sleep now. The crown is heavy, but tonight you carry nothing. Nothing at all. Just sleep. Just peace. Just the quiet turning of the world.